The city skyline stretched endlessly beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows of the high-rise office, bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun. Inside, Olivia Sinclair, Capricorn, sat at her desk, fingers flying over her keyboard, her mind a laser-focused machine filtering through financial reports and client proposals. She barely registered the fading daylight. Another late night, another step forward. Olivia had built her career with relentless precision, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. At 29, she was already a senior strategist at one of the most competitive investment firms in New York. Every move was calculated, every decision made with long-term vision. That's how she had always operated, which was why when her phone buzzed with a message, a familiar name flashing on the screen, she hesitated. Liam Carter, Aries. Her heart kicked against her ribs. "Come outside," she sighed, rubbing her temples. She should ignore it. She had a report to finish, a meeting in the morning, a future to secure, but she already knew she wouldn't ignore him. A few minutes later, she stepped out onto the street, the cool evening air, a sharp contrast to the warm office. And there he was, leaning against his motorcycle, grinning like he hadn't just disrupted her carefully structured night. Liam Carter, the human embodiment of chaos. His leather jacket was unzipped, a cocky confidence radiating off him as he shoved his phone in his pocket. His dark eyes sparkled with mischief, and Olivia already knew, whatever he had planned, it wasn't going to fit neatly into her schedule. "You know, most people send a text like a normal person," she said, crossing her arms. Liam shrugged. "Where's the fun in that?" She narrowed her eyes. "I have work to do." He stepped closer, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. "And I have tickets to the underground jazz club you said you wanted to check out." Damn him. He always remembered the little things, always knew exactly how to tempt her. She exhaled, shaking her head. "I can't." Liam's grin didn't falter, but something flickered behind his playful expression. He ran a hand through his dark hair, rocking back on his heels. "Right, of course. Work comes first." There was no bitterness in his voice, but she could feel the weight of it anyway. She should go back upstairs. She should remind herself why she had spent years climbing the corporate ladder, why she didn't let distractions, no matter how handsome and infuriating, get in the way. But instead, she found herself saying, "Fine, one drink." Liam's grin returned, and before she could overthink it, she was on the back of his motorcycle, holding on to him as the city blurred past them. That was the thing about Liam. He could pull her out of her own head like no one else. The jazz club was tucked into an unmarked alley, dimly lit with golden chandeliers and the smoky sound of a saxophone filling the air. Olivia found herself relaxing, just a little. She let Liam guide her through the crowd, let herself enjoy the moment, something she rarely allowed. They sat close in a corner booth, his knee brushing against hers beneath the table. "You know," Liam said, stirring his drink lazily, "you work harder than anyone I know. But do you ever stop to ask why?" She frowned. "Of course I know why, because success isn't handed to you. You build it, you earn it." Liam studied her for a long moment, something unreadable in his gaze. "And when you finally get everything you're working for? What then?" Olivia hesitated. She had an answer. Of course she did. She would be secure, respected, untouchable. That was the goal. That had always been the goal. But before she could respond, Liam smirked, leaning in just slightly. "Don't worry, boss. I'm just here to make sure you have a little fun before you take over the world." And just like that, the tension broke. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling too. That was how it always was with Liam. He made her feel like it was okay to breathe, just for a second. But as much as she loved these stolen moments, she knew they could never last, because Liam wasn't built for structure, and she wasn't built for uncertainty. The first cracks started to show a few weeks later. Liam had an idea, a wild, reckless idea, the kind he always chased, a new business venture. Something high risk, high reward, something that required leaving the city, starting fresh. "Come with me," he said one night, standing in her kitchen, his hands gripping the edge of the counter. Olivia's stomach twisted. "Liam, you're asking me to throw away everything I've worked for." He shook his head. I'm asking you to live, to take a chance. You can't plan every part of your life, Olivia. Sometimes you have to jump." She looked away, swallowing the lump in her throat. She wanted to. She wanted to follow him into the unknown, to trust that love was enough. But love didn't pay the bills. Love didn't secure futures. Liam saw the hesitation in her eyes before she could even say the words. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "You'll always pick your career over me, won't you?" Tears burned at the back of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I'm not choosing my career over you. I'm choosing myself." The silence between them was unbearable, and just like that, the moment shattered. Liam left that night. He didn't slam the door. He didn't yell. He just left. The following days were a blur of work, meetings, the same routine. But something was missing. No text from Liam pulling her away from her laptop. No last-minute adventures. No warmth at her side. She had won. She had chosen stability. So why did it feel like she had lost? One evening, weeks later, she stood at her office window, looking out at the city she had conquered. She should have felt powerful. She should have felt whole. Instead, all she could think about was a jazz club, a motorcycle, and a man who had once asked her what she was working so hard for. And for the first time, she didn't know the answer.